Hey there, welcome back to another video. This time around, it is another installment of the series Physical Media Madness. And as you can see by the title, this is June's installment of this series. So I'm going to be showing off the various different titles that I picked up on various different formats for this month. And then I will also be going into Dawn of the Discs, and I will be checking out the upcoming releases, at least the ones on 4K, Blu-ray, that I'm the most interested in or the most curious about in the future. So, without further chatting, let's get into it. So, I'm actually going to start with a format that I haven't showed a whole lot of in this series because I haven't really decided to get any films in this format. But I had a friend of mine who wanted wanted me to check these out and also wanted to check them out for himself. So I decided to pick these up. So we have Alien Cargo and Trapped in Space. So these are both films that, if I remember correctly, they're only on VHS. So you can find some of them on YouTube, but the quality of the VHS rips are not really the best, and you can't stream them. So the only way to watch them in like optimal quality is on VHS or on a decent VHS rip. So yeah, I got those, and then I got some DVDs. So we have Ginger Snaps 2 Unleashed and Ginger Snaps The Beginning. I actually like this one. I was surprised by this. I thought it was a pretty solid prequel. The second one I remember not being a big fan of, but I decided to pick it up because it was a good deal. And the first one I already have on Blu-ray from Scream Factory. Then I got Urban Legends Bloody Mary by itself because I only had the triple feature set. So decided to get that. I also have the first two films of that series on Blu-ray from Scream Factory. Here we have Mask on DVD. Film I haven't seen since I was a kid, so I decided to pick it up. Uh, then I got Ready to Rumble. I don't remember caring for this movie the last time that I saw it, but I am a wrestling fan and I do like WCW, so I decided to pick it up. I'm gonna look at it like it's Beavis and Butthead meets wrestling. That's how I'm gonna approach it whenever I decide to give it a rewatch, because I think that's a better tone for that movie. Here we have the Seawolves. Um, got it because it looked interesting and has a good cast. The Black Marble. Here we have a Scott Adkins film, Avengement. It was only $1. I figured for $1, why not? Here we have The Razor's Edge, the film that Bill Murray strong armed Columbia into doing because he did this whole thing where I won't do Ghostbusters unless you finance this movie. Yeah, that's true. The only reason Bill Murray did Ghostbusters was because of this movie. It's crazy. I know, right? Buddy with Rene Russo with effects by the Jim Henson uh, company. That's really the main reason why I decided to get this, because I'm a big fan of the Jim Henson puppeteers and the Creature Shop. But this DVD is misleading because it says that it's in widescreen, but it has no widescreen option, which I thought was total bullshit. Here's the Disaster Artist, the film that's on the making of The Room. I did not hit. You're tearing me apart, Lisa. Oh, hi, Mark. The Disaster Artist. And then I got some TV shows. So we have Volume 1 of The Hitchhiker from HBO, and then Volume 2. There's a third volume as well. I wouldn't mind picking that up sometime. But here's the thing about these DVDs. This is not the whole series. This isn't even the entirety of season 1. This is just random episodes collected and put onto some discs. And it's the same thing for Volume 2 and Volume 3. For whatever reason, when HBO decided to release the show, they didn't bother to release full series sets. They just released sets that had like random episodes on them, which is lame. And the only way you were able to like come close to getting all the episodes of the show was to get, I think, a set from Canada, but that's long out of print now and incredibly expensive. And the show's not streaming. It's not available officially in its entirety in the United States. I have a bootleg DVD set that has all of the episodes, but I got a good deal on these, and I decided to get them because the picture quality is probably a little bit better than the bootleg sets. But like, this is a really good underrated anthology show, and you can't get it in its entirety. And you can watch it on YouTube, but that's not really the same. So yeah, that's lame. It's a good show, but it got a lame release from HBO. It's a pretty influential show if you think about it, because it was one of the first few shows that HBO got on the map for in terms of getting people to like buy the network to watch shows other than just movies. And I believe HBO might have syndicated it. I'm not 100% sure on that, but it was still a pretty popular show. I mean, it went on for a decent amount of seasons, and it was the first ever anthology show that HBO aired. It actually wasn't Tales from the Crypt. It was The Hitchhiker. And speaking of TV, here we have SCTV Volume 4. I'm a big fan of SCTV. I'm actually in the middle of watching the early syndicated run in Canada from like the 70s, which has been really fun and interesting, but at the same time kind of cringe because there's some jokes and there's some bits in that have not held up and definitely do not stand up to today's standards. But a good chunk of the SCTV stuff that was released from Shout Factory, it's still some really funny stuff. And I didn't have this volume. I had volumes 1 through 3, but I did not have volume 4. So I decided to get that to complete the collection. Um, SCTV is a really fun show, especially if you're into sketch comedy, if you're a fan of John Candy, and a lot of these other performers like Eugene Levy, um, Catherine O'Hara. Definitely a show that's worth watching. Martin Short is also on it. Harold Ramis was a part of like the first season or two. Um, yeah, a fun show. Really nice companion in SNL. Does its own type of thing. Is a little bit more irreverent, a little bit more out there. Takes more risks. I think it's actually funnier than SNL in a lot of ways. But yeah, that's SCTV. Um, Now, speaking of 4, because showed volume 4, let's get into the 4K. So, start out with Anna. I got this because it was $5. It was a $5 4K. I'm not going to turn that down. I remember not being super big on the movie, but for $5, I'll give it another shot. Here we have Aladdin. This is actually a pretty good looking 4K. I would say this is one of the better Disney animated 4Ks out there. It's not on the same level as The Lion King, but it's still a pretty solid release. Here we have Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, one of the most maligned, critically derided releases so far this year. I got it for a really cheap price, or last year, 2022. Yeah, it's a release that got a lot of crap when it came out, and still gets a lot of crap to this day. And I watched it, and I'm like, what is the big deal? Like, yeah, there's a couple bits of DNR at times that is a bit noticeable, but I didn't think it was nearly as unwatchable as people are making it out to be. It's not an A tier transfer, but it's at least like a B or a B minus. Like, I don't think it's nearly as bad as people are making it out to be. I think it's like the best I've seen the film look to date. And plus you get the extra bonus footage, and the film definitely still holds up. It's still a hilarious, heartwarming classic. And yeah, I didn't get it. I was like, what is so bad about this? I thought it looked pretty good. Did it look amazing? No, but for a film like this that wasn't really what you would consider a movie that had like amazing visuals, it's not that kind of film for a relatively low budget film that already kind of had this sort of not necessarily, I wouldn't say grimy look to it, but it definitely wasn't a super pristine, clean looking movie. For that kind of film, I thought it looked pretty decent. So if you can find it for cheap and you're a fan of the film, and I would definitely recommend getting it, even if you wind up not being a super big fan of the transfer because you get the extra footage. The one downside though is that it doesn't include a Blu-ray, which is something that Paramount is doing a lot nowadays. It's what they're doing exclusively. They're not including Blu-ray copies in their 4K releases. Still keeping at it with the 4Ks here with Gemini Man. Now, I got this because still haven't seen this film. It looked kind of interesting, and I've heard this is a really good 4K from people. Like, there's some people who've said like this is one of the best 4Ks that they've seen, and I'm like, okay, definitely gotta check that out sometime if that's the case. And I only had the Blu-ray. Then I got Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. I saw this film a while back and remember not minding it, so I decided to pick it up for pretty affordable, cheap price. Then we have Pacific Rim Uprising because I have the first film and decided why not. Got the drama Hell or High Water. Heard a lot of good things about it, but I still haven't seen it yet. Decided to get that. Um, got Ford v Ferrari. Another one that looked interesting. Um, got that for a pretty good deal. Then we have the Shout Factory release of Dragonheart. I got this for basically free because I used in-store credit at a local shop to get it. And the price already before using in-store credit was only $8.99. It was a steal. So yeah, Dragonheart 4K. Then we have the Avatar films. I got these from the Disney Movie Club. I got a good deal because I'm a Disney Movie Club member. So I pre-ordered them together. So we have the Avatar 4K. Um, Now this is an amazing release in terms of like picture quality, sound. Like definitely the best the film has ever looked or sounded. Also includes like a ton of features. Ports over, I think, all the same features from the other release. Avatar: The Way of Water is also another great looking release. I would say even possibly even better looking than Avatar. This is honestly one of the most visually just mind blowing 4Ks I've seen so far. Like if you have a good quality setup or player and everything, like definitely get this someday just for the visuals alone. I mean, it is absolutely just stunning. The film was stunning anyway in the theater, but it's still stunning in 4K. But what's stunning in a different way is this annoying bullshit that I really don't like. I hate this. This nonsense where the spine of the film does not have the title of the movie on it. Whose idea was this? Whoever thought of this, can they get fired? Was it James Cameron? Did James Cameron come up with this idea to make things overly complicated? What is this bullshit? And it's not just on the slipcover. It's also on the interior. Dumb. It's almost as dumb as the Catwoman Blu-ray that I saw for sale somewhere, the Halle Berry movie that had no title at all on the spine, which I thought was hilarious. And honestly, I'm wondering if that was an intentional thing. It was like, we know you'll be embarrassed having the Catwoman movie in your collection. So we're just going to not even show the title of the movie on the spine. We're going to leave it up to the movie gods. We're going to make it a total mystery. um Then I also got the Candyman remake. I remember not being a big fan of this, but I got it for the collection. It was a pretty good deal. And as much as I don't care for this film, I think this is a pretty nice looking 4K in terms of like the slipcover. I think this looks pretty sharp. The yellow and the black. I think it's pretty nice looking 4K. But not the best movie. And then the last 4Ks that I got were are my bad. Shazam, Fury of the Gods, and Creed 3. And both of these I got for like, yeah, once again, these were trade-ins. So I got them basically for free, and they're fairly new 4Ks. And if I didn't do that, they would have only been like $9.99 at the local shop that I go to. So that was a steal. Now we get to the Blu-rays, where, of course, I got it. The Arrow Video Empire of Screams box set. This is a really, really cool looking set. I mean, I definitely would say this is this is right up there as probably one of my favorite releases of the year already. Just for the detail and just for how cool it is. Um, just look at that. it's just a it's just a really cool looking box set. Looks great on look great on a shelf. There's a lot of love and attention to detail to it. And then on top of that, like it's just got a lot of great content in it. So you've got Arena, you got Dolls, got the Dungeon Master. I flipped the cover art to the original posters because I just like that better. So Cellar Dweller and Robot Jocks. And some of these are out of print from, Scream Factory, so it's a good deal to get them. So you don't have to pay that crazy amount of money for the out of print releases. And you get really cool stuff like this. I love this booklet. I love the design of it. It looks like a vintage, old school, like magazine from back in the day. It even has like an old ad that looks like something you'd see in a comic book or like in Fangoria magazine. So yeah, really cool box set. All the films are remastered. I think it's 2K remasters. So they all have new remasters. They have different. They have a bunch of features, collectible stuff like cards and posters and booklets if you're into that kind of stuff. So yeah, really cool set. Really glad to have that. And then we're just some more Blu-rays. There's another one I got from the record shop for a trade-in. Renfield, brand new, relatively brand new release. Super good deal, good shape. This is honestly I would say this is my favorite film I've seen this year. I legitimately enjoyed it that much, and I definitely do need to review it sometime. Um, got Shredder because Ronin Flicks had a decent sale, so I decided to grab it finally. Becky, another Ronin Flicks title that I got for pretty cheap. Um, another like at least half of these are titles that I got for free with in-store credit. So 47 Meters Down, Uncaged, Immortals with Henry Cavill, um, the drama White Boy Rick, I Tanya. I already had this, but I didn't have the release with the slipcover, and I really like this movie, so I decided to get uh, the release with the slipcover. Alpha, The Art of Self-Defense. We've got The Seventh Son, Bombshell, which I actually have seen. I remember it being pretty good for what it is. I thought it was pretty good. Pretty good drama, good performances, uh, some decent direction. Grease 2 Steelbook from Walmart because I'm a cool rider. Um, Bad Dreams, Visiting Hours, double feature from Scream Factory. Some more films from Ronin Flicks, The Mask of Red Death, uh, Dr. Heckle and Mr. Hype for the 80s horror film collection, POW The Escape with David Carradine. Uh, I got this from a local video game shop because it was listed as the Severin release, but when I got it, it was actually not, which is unfortunate, but I'll still take it for the collection. Um, then we got The Bone Collector with Denzel and Jolie, the Atlantis double feature, Jumper, so only had the DVD, Rounders, the one that I only had on DVD, um, Black Swan, Strange Brew, Take Off Your Hoser, What Dreams May Come, Public Enemies, How I Live Now, which has a really interesting cast. So this has not only has Saoirse Ronan, it also has George McKay and Tom Holland in it. George McKay from 1917 and Tom Holland, from the MCU Spider-Man movies. And then I also got We Were Soldiers for the War Movie Collection. And then, yes, I did get this. RoboCop the series. This is the screen-bound release from the UK. Here's the positives about this set. It is in the right aspect ratio because the last release in the US from a different company, I'm trying to remember what the name of the company was. I'm completely blanking on the company that released it in the US. It'll come to me later. But the company in the US didn't release the Blu-ray in the right aspect ratio. They cropped it. The DVD, they did release it in the right aspect ratio, but they did a really shitty job, and it was like not properly interlaced or something, because it just looked really bad. Like, it just looked noticeably bad in terms of like wobbling and other kinds of shit in comparison to a older DVD release from like Madman in Australia. This says it's digitally enhanced. That is true. They're not lying. It is digitally enhanced. In a lot of ways, this is like a fan made like remaster, like something you see on YouTube, but definitely not something they should be charging as much as they charged people for when it comes to this. I'm going to keep this. I'm not going to return it because I got it from the UK, so it would just be too much of a pain in the ass to try to return it. So I'm definitely going to keep it for the collection, but there is some noticeable DNR and it's watchable, but you can't help but see that the picture was definitely messed with. And here's the thing. It's a series that I think was shot on tape, or the only things that they have available are tape masters, and you can tell. So there's only so much you can do to remaster it to begin with. So there's just a lot of limitations. So it's just one of those things where I'm glad to have it for the collection. And it does look a little bit clearer and a little bit better than the DVD upconverted, but it's not like a $30 release. Like that's a rip off. Like importing this for like 30 something dollars. Like that's really not, it's not worth that. The extras are also the same on the Liberation Hall. There it is. Finally popped in my head. Was liberated. My brain cells got liberated. Yeah, Liberation Hall was the one that released the American version of this. So I would say if you're a fan of it and you can find it for a decent price, because I'm hoping this gets like marked down in the future, because it really should be. Pick it up if you're a fan of RoboCop and you're curious enough, but otherwise, like, I really would not pay a crazy amount of money for that. I did. It's definitely not what I would consider a release that's worth that. It should have been priced at like $20 because it really has all the earmarks of a budget release. Um, but yeah, that's my update for the month of June in terms of the titles that I got. Now, there is one title that I, for some reason, I can't find it. It's crazy. Ironically, it's Trapped. I can't find the DVD of Trapped Ashes, which is crazy because I've been trying to find that movie for years, and I finally found it for cheap at a Goodwill, but now I can't find it to show it for this video. Go figure. It's in my room somewhere. I just probably forgot where I put it. If I do find it, I'll probably put it in like next month's installment. And I know Severin is having a summer sale coming up, and I'm probably gonna get a few things from that because there's a couple titles that I definitely would like to get, like the last horror film and Nightmares in a Damaged Brain. So I'll definitely be keeping up on when the sale goes live, so I don't miss out because that happens a lot with those sales. You got to first come first serve kind of stuff. Um, and I probably trying to think. I did pre-order the Robert Englund documentary. I did do that, the Blu-ray from Amazon, and I also did some pre-orders for Second Sight. I pre-ordered the release of May and their upcoming 4K of It Follows, and I threw in a couple other 4Ks in there, The Babadook and Dog Soldiers, um, and The Guest for the collection because it was actually a good deal. Because if you order from Second Sight directly, because it's an import, you wind up paying a little bit less since you're importing it to the U.S. Um, Plus, I like supporting the label directly if I can. So, looking forward to that, to those releases from Second Sight. Of course, looking forward to The Hitcher whenever Second Sight announces that officially. But I'm on Dawn of the Discs right now, and I'm just going to look through here real quick. I guess if you're a big fan of I Still Know What You Did Last Summer, it's getting a 4K. I don't know why you would want that in 4K. Fright Night 2 apparently it's getting a release in by Cinema Museum, which I've never heard of that company. I've never heard of this company. It's supposed to come out in 2024, I guess, the Cinema Museum release. They couldn't find uh they couldn't find the materials for a 4K rescan, but they're still going to have it in 4K, which I find kind of crazy. It will include the first part of You're So Cool, Brewster as a special feature, but then it will also include the second part, which is like a Cinema Museum exclusive or something. I've never heard of this company before, so I really don't know the quality control or just the overall quality of this company, but that's pretty cool. Pretty cool that Fright Night's getting part 2 is getting a release. Oh, it's just the first Fright Night. Okay, so it's a Fright Night collection. So they're not releasing the second film separately. It's just the Fright Night collection, and the Fright Night Part 2 is not in 4K. The first film is in 4K. My bad. I got confused there. I was like, what? They're listing Fright Night Part 2, but it's Fright Night 2 and the first film. Which I guess that's cool if you don't have either one, but I mean, it's probably going to be expensive as hell too, so it's kind of a bummer if you want part 2, because it seems like they're not going to release it separately, which I think is uh kind of lame. And I guess they're also going to do Bram Stoker's Dracula in a Cinema Museum release. I'm out of the loop on Cinema Museum. But yeah, Severin, they're doing Nightmares in a Damaged Brain. They're also doing, yeah, they're a new release of Psychic. You know, the Psychic, the Lucio Fulci thriller. Um, they're also, like I mentioned earlier, they're also doing the last horror film. Now, think it's Paramount. Paramount, yeah, they're doing Sleepy Hollow. So I think it's pretty cool. I actually pre-ordered that already. That's another one I pre-ordered. It comes out in September. Kino Lorber just announced that they're doing the Monster Squad in 4K, and they're going to be porting over all the features from the Lionsgate release. I am so it's just out of words when it comes to just how excited I am for this release. I've been waiting for a new release of this film for years. I think I personally have championed and mentioned that it should get a 4K. And I even mentioned Kino as one of the companies that I would have liked to have seen release it, and they're going to do it. So I'm really stoked. I'm really excited about it. Um, since they're already talking about how they're going to port over all the features, I'm pretty sure it's a done deal and it's not one of those Leviathan situations where they announce it and then they're like, oh, we couldn't find the print or whatever. Hopefully it's not one of those instances because it just says coming soon. It doesn't have a release date. But either way, I'm excited. I am really excited. I love that movie. I think could look really great with the right remaster and just I'm just super I'm just I am beyond thrilled. Um, so I can't wait until it comes out and I can rock until I drop in 4K. Cutler Island is getting a 4K release, a steelbook from overseas. Why? Why is somebody wasting a steelbook and a 4K disc with Cutthroat Island? No. Why are you doing that? Don't need, not needed. Who is asking for it? It's the same thing like a 4K of Staying Alive from Kino Lorber. Who's asking for a 4K of Staying Alive? The sequel to Saturday Night Fever. I'm not asking for a 4K of that. Like, really? Oh, Shout Factory has a side exclusive, and one of them is Abraxas. Fucking Abraxas. You know that shitty movie with Jesse Ventura and like jazz music for the soundtrack? And the one that has a cover that looks like um God, what's his Sven-Ole Thorson is having a particularly painful shit. Yeah, that movie, that's getting a Blu-ray. And it's a site exclusive. So it's limited to a select amount of copies. And so is this other movie called Revenge of the Cheerleaders I've never heard of. Watch somebody just be a total fool and pay like $25-$30 for Abraxas because it's limited. They did that for Creepshow 3. Pearl's getting a 4K from Turbine. Good. Maybe I'll get that someday. Because I didn't get the Blu-ray. Because I was wondering if it was going to get a 4K. The Exorcist, the timeless horror classic, it's getting a 4K. They announced, like, I think it's like a French release first, but it's going to get a US release. I think the rumor is that it's supposed to come out in September, but we'll see. Synapse is releasing that movie Killer Crocodile, if you're into that. Lost in Translation's getting a 4K from Kino Lorber. Kino Lorber's also going to be releasing Death Wish 5. Alright, sure. For the Death Wish collection. La Bamba is finally getting a Blu-ray, this time from Criterion. Princess Bride is getting a 4K release from Criterion. Infinity Pool is getting a 4K release. Bad Biology, the last film that Frank Henenlotter directed, is getting a 4K from Severin. Trying to think of anything else here that I wanted them. Oh yeah, Cowboys and Aliens is getting a 4K from Kino Lorber, and the other one, like another big one for me, is the Fletch Films. Fletch and Fletch Lives. They were just announced by Kino Lorber. Kino Lorber is going to release them on Blu-ray sometime this year. They both have 2K remasters. So when they say stuff like that, that means that that's definitely going to happen because they already have the remaster. So 2K remasters of both, which is funny because I just bought Fletch Lives. So of course, as soon as I buy Fletch Lives, it's going to come out on Blu-ray from Kino Lorber. It's about time because the first movie has had a really just weak, below average transfer for way too long. So I'm really looking forward to seeing both of them in 2K and seeing whatever features they might come up with. I'm not expecting a lot because I highly doubt they're going to get Chevy Chase to talk about it, but who knows? Either way, I'm really excited about the Fletch films on Blu-ray. That's probably one of my other highly anticipated releases that comes out this year, other than like a Monster Squad or potentially The Hitcher or the rumor of well, I don't think it's really a rumor. It's confirmed. It's just one of those things that they don't have a release date yet. Trick or Treat from Synapse. But yeah, and The Abyss and True Lies, if they ever actually do come out. But that's an if at this point. But anyway, that's it. That's it for the month of June, and that's it for the most recent episode of Physical Media Madness. Until next time, as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you later. See ya.